Hi friends, welcome into Occupational Therapy this week. My name is Miss Gail. I will be your OT today. And today we're going to talk about the motoric requirements that we need for our fine motor skills to help us develop the skills for grasping and writing. So the thing that we need to understand about it is there is a large amount of different skills that need to go into getting ready for writing. There's visual motor skills, there's sensory motor skills, there's the motoric skills, and I can't possibly hit them all in the video today. We'll continue to talk about those in upcoming videos. So today I'm just going to be focusing on the motoric requirements of helping to develop those fine motor skills. The materials that you will need today, you will need basket and some small items that you can put in the basket, things like cotton balls or pom-poms. You will need something that your child can do while they are laying on their stomach, propped on their elbow. We chose sidewalk chalk, which is a really great activity, so something that you can do, a puzzle, a book, or whatever you choose to do. You'll need a pipe cleaner, some Cheerios, markers, paper towels, and a small tub of water. So let's get started. So today, when we talk about the development of fine motor skills, we need to understand that there is a whole hierarchy of things that we need at the foundation. So if you think about it as we're building a house, we wouldn't want to build a house on top of a marshy, swampy swampland. You're going to want to build your house on a solid concrete foundation. So those are the foundational skills that we're talking about. And again, this is only the motoric requirements that we're looking at for building those higher level skills. So let's get started and let's get talking about the skills that we can develop. Also, it's important to look at this video as not just a one and done. You need to view these videos as activities that you can do every day, because we know that we need that practice. We need to develop those skills, and it doesn't just occur after one time trying. We need to keep working, keep developing, keep practicing those skills. So that is also a really important consideration when we're looking at all of the skills that we're learning. We can continue to practice them every day. So for this first activity, we're going to be in a 4-point quadruped position. Basically, we tell our students, you're going to be like a dog. This activity is good for shoulder strengthening, shoulder stability, and also wrist stability and wrist extension, which are also really important. So you're going to put items out. Your student will be weight bearing into their wrists and into their shoulders, picking up items, putting them into the tub. So asking them to reach across and put things in. This is a really great strengthening activity for not only the shoulders, but also the wrists. It's a really great balance activity, which goes into the sensory motor components of it, which we won't get into today. We'll get into at a later video. So for this next activity, you're going to ask your student to lie on their stomach. This is not a particularly comfortable position for them to be in, but you can see the weight bearing into the shoulder girdle. It's a great strengthening activity. So you want to find something that they can be focused on while they're in this position. So we chose sidewalk chalk, and we're just going to be making shapes, drawing some lines, anything to keep that position. The longer you can keep your student engaged in this position, the better it is. If you can find something that they enjoy doing, maybe reading a book, or I know tablet time is a big activity that can be motivating, but this is a really good core strengthening activity. So encourage them to use both their right hand and their left hand so that we get weight bearing into both sides of the shoulder girdle. And then you can also use this to have your students drawing across the midline, so reaching way up and drawing all the way over and all the way back over. And again, making sure that they use not only their dominant hand, but their non-dominant hand as well. So using both right and left. So for the next activity, you will need some Theraputty or Play-Doh, whatever you have available at home, and you'll also need some toothpicks. So as occupational therapists, we use Theraputty quite a bit in our therapy sessions. It's one of our things we keep in our bag of tricks. There are so many things we can do with it, but it's really great for helping to strengthen all of those muscles that we need for fine motor control, for writing, for snapping, for buttoning, for holding our utensils. And so with this one piece of equipment, we can hit a lot of those skills and help strengthen those areas that need to be strengthened. So for the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to look at the arches of our hand. And so one of the things that we like to do to help develop those arches, and when you think about the arches, that scooping of the hand. So when you see children that have very flat hands and have a hard time scooping that up, that's the development of those muscles that are inside of our hands. So we're going to take our putty and we're going to make it a ball, and we're going to scoop it. We want to really work on scooping our hands, scooping it together, and really squeezing and pushing into that arch and really help to define that inside scoop. So once we've made our balls, what we're going to do then is we're just going to squeeze it. So again, this is a great activity to help strengthen all of those intrinsic muscles that are in our hand. So we're just going to squeeze it. And one of the fun things that you can do with this activity, you can find a song that is relatively slow and encourage your student to squeeze and pass it. Squeeze and pass it. Squeeze, pass, squeeze, pass. Once we've completed that, we are going to squeeze it out like a snake, and then we're going to take our hands and we're going to roll. So again, this is a really nice activity. It helps develop those extension muscles that we need in the backs of our hands, and we're going to roll it out like a snake. So once we have it rolled, then we're going to take our fingers and we're going to pinch from our thumb to our pointer finger. And again, we're looking at that nice rounded space. We want to help develop that musculature in our hand with that open web space, and we're just going to squeeze and pinch, squeeze and pinch. So what you're watching for is making sure that you don't get any flattening of the hands as we're pinching. We want to try to keep it open, squeeze and pinch. And then you can also do it with the thumb and the middle finger all the way down. The thumb and the ring finger, squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then same thing, thumb and pinky. And a lot of times it's really difficult just to even isolate these movements together. So anytime you can do activities or songs where we're touching our fingers and isolating those movements, it's really great for those fine motor skills. So from here, we're gonna do a little bit of bilateral coordination and pronation supination. I know you've heard those before in our videos that we've been sending. So you've got this ball, we're gonna use our two hands together and we're gonna push it down like a pancake. And we're gonna push it down like a pancake. So using those two hands together, really push, 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 push. So once you have your pancake, you're gonna take it and you're gonna flip your pancake. And you're gonna flip your pancake. And again, if you can find a nice song that they can flip their pancake to, we're just looking at that turning over at the elbow. Pronation, supination are really important skills that we need to have to help develop those higher level fine motor skills for writing. So from there, we want to look at separating the two sides of our hand. So the importance of that is this is what we considered the skill side of our hand, where this side of our hand is more the power side. And so helping us to develop these muscles for writing, we're going to take just a little bit of putty. Putty is a little bit harder to work with than Play-Doh. So what we're encouraging is rolling a little tiny ball just with those fingers. And if you can get it just down to 2 fingers. Now, if you need some extra stability, if your student needs to hold something in their hand, you can give them a little block, a little pom-pom, tell them to hang on to it tight, and then we're just gonna roll little balls to help develop the skilled side of our hand. If you can, it's also a great idea to see if you can get your student to do their non-dominant hand. And you can see I'm right-handed, I'm not left-handed, so it's considerably harder for me to do my left hand than it is to do my right hand. But once you've made a few of these balls, we're going to take the toothpicks. Actually, I think what we'll do is we're going to make a shape. So I'm going to make a square out of my toothpicks. So I'm going to put a ball on the end of my toothpick. And I'm just going to make a little square. Now you can continue on. You can build a house, you can build an animal, you can continue this activity on, building and adding and creating however you want to create. Get as imaginative as you can. So when we're looking at developing our grasp patterns, typically the first grasp that we see is going to be a grasp that's basically raking all of the fingers together. Typically when we see this grasp, there's also a lot of wrist flexion in this grasp pattern. So then from there, we move to raking grasp to the side. You may see it with their fingers curled under where they're trying to obtain it this way. So from there, we get to that inferior lateral pinch. And what we're shooting for is moving it from the pads of our finger right down to the fingertips. That's the ultimate grasp pattern that we want. That's the highest level pattern that we want when we're grasping. So for your next activity, we're going to use a pipe cleaner and just some Cheerios. So this is a really nice activity. We're using bilateral skills to do this, as well as our neat pincer grasp. So we're going to put a Cheerio on the end and loop it around. Again, you may have to help your child do this part. And then from there, we're just going to start stringing on Cheerios for our bird feeder. Again, we're trying to use that nice, neat pincer grasp to pick them up, put them on. Now, if you can, challenge yourself to hold several Cheerios in your hand. This is a great in-hand manipulation skill. So I want one Cheerio. I have to push it down to my fingertips. Get one, push it down to my fingertips. So you may start with just 2 Cheerios in your hand, and that's fine. Push it down, string it up. You may be able to do a lot of Cheerios in your hand, and that's great too. Again, moving it down, stringing it. Once you have this completely filled up, it will look like this. And you're just gonna make a hook on the end and go find a tree outside and hang it outside for your birds to have a nice treat. So when we're talking about grasping markers, pencils, crayons, whatever media you have available, typically we see the stages of our grasp pattern. So usually the first grasp pattern that we will see with students is this palmar supinate, or we consider this just a fisted grasp. And from here, we're getting the whole arm going. From there, typically we will see the student will turn it over with that finger forward, and we classify this as a digital pronate grasp. From there, we want to see the emergence of a static tripod. And this can come in anywhere up to 4 years. And when we're talking about the static tripod, what we mean, the tripod, the 3 fingers on the marker, and these fingers stabilized against the hand. Now, if your student needs that extra cue and you can put something in their hand, a cotton ball, a pom-pom, whatever, to help develop those 3 fingers together, that's also helpful. We do have some children that will develop a quadrupod grasp with the 4 fingers on. And the reason that we call this a static tripod, at this point, we're holding on with the 3 fingers, but we're still getting that full arm movement when we're writing. We haven't separated it out yet to just have those dynamic finger movements. And so this is the highest level. This is our dynamic tripod grasp. So there are a lot of different grasp patterns that we see as OTs, and we've talked about that we see a shift in how we hold pencils and what we think as functional versus non-functional. Some children do really well with the grasp where you put it in between the pointer and middle finger and grasp it this way. That is a very efficient grasp. What we're concerned the most about is when we see students that get into patterns that are very unstable. We're seeing a lot of this hook type grasp. And again, it's really important that we develop all of our musculature in our hand, in our wrist, in our forearm, in our shoulder, so that we can get to those highest level patterns. So when we're picking up pencils, if our students need a little extra help, this is the pinch and twist that Miss Bree showed us in the first video, where we're gonna pinch it at the bottom and we're just gonna flip it over, pinch and twist. So what I like to tell my students is we talk about quacky fingers. So quacky, quacky, quack, quack, sometimes 3-jaw chuck, quack, quack, and we take those quacky fingers and we hold the marker, quack, quack. I do have one student that loves dinosaurs, and so when we told him this was his dinosaur claw, it changed his grasp pattern completely. So we use whatever terminology works to help us develop those higher level fine motor skills. For our writing activity, what we're gonna do is you're gonna take a paper towel and you're just gonna fold it over in half. So I am going to make a tree. I'm gonna make the tree trunk. And I'm gonna make the big tree. Now, if your student needs help making this outside shape, please help them. If they can do it themselves, fantastic. Then You're gonna open it up and you're gonna try your best to make the same thing that you just made. So my tree trunk and my big tree all the way around. And my tree is an apple tree. So I'm gonna put some apples in my tree. And you can get as creative, you can make whatever you want, a sun, a person. You can do letters if you want to do letters, that will work as well. If you want to write things on here, you can write things on here. I'm gonna make some worms in my tree, some caterpillars are crawling in my tree. I'm gonna make a butterfly in my tree. You can make birds, you can make animals, maybe a cat is in your tree. I'm gonna color my trunk brown. Gonna fill in my tree with green, a little bit of green. From here, you're gonna fold it back over. You're gonna need a tub of water, and you really don't need that much water. You're gonna take your piece of paper and reveal your apple tree. So again, create whatever you like, make designs that motivate you, and let's see how creative you can get. I would love to see your pictures that you make. So be sure to email your OT and let them see how creative you were this week. So if your students are at a stage where they are writing, then you can upgrade this activity by having them, maybe they can make secret messages for people in the house. And in order to see the secret message, you're gonna have to drop it in the water to see what the secret message is. I love occupational therapy. It's so fun. Yay, that's my secret message. That's it, friends. I hope you found the video today helpful and educational as well as fun. And if you are interested in these types of activities, there are endless things that you can do at home to help develop our shoulders, our wrists, our forearms, our fine motor skills. I just showed you a very small sample of things that you can do in the home. If you are interested in finding out more activities that you can do, please email your OT and they can help put together a list for you of other things that you can do in the home. So until we meet again, have a great week and I'll see you soon. Bye.